The Reading Show. Books that change the way you think.
You can hack your brain, and the best guide is a man who's held one in his hands. Here are the lessons a neurosurgeon learned from seeing the mind up close.
Have you ever wished your brain came with an owner's manual? I mean, seriously. Well, what if I told you we could actually get one? That the insights from someone who operates on brains for a living could give us a user's guide to the incredible machine we all have inside our heads.
So here's our roadmap for today. We are going to dive right in and learn how to hack our memory. Then we'll get into the science of our emotions and how to take back control. After that, we'll decode the habits that run on autopilot. From there, we'll unlock our own creativity. And finally, we'll land on the biggest idea of all, how you can literally, physically rewire your own mind. Let's do this.
First things first, let's talk about the hardware. You know, before you can upgrade any software, you got to make sure the machine itself is running in tip-top shape. And it's the same with our brains.
It's a question you've probably never even thought to ask, right? But it turns out the answer is absolutely crucial for having a sharp mind. Your brain has this amazing nightly maintenance routine that you need to know about.
It's called the glymphatic system. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a deep cleaning crew for your brain that only works the night shift. While you're fast asleep, this system uses fluid to literally wash away all the toxic gunk and waste that builds up from a full day of thinking. If this cleaning doesn't happen, that junk hangs around, and that's where you get brain fog and why it feels so hard to remember things.
And here's the cool part. We have direct control over this. It's not complicated. On the hardware side, you just have to prioritize sleep. That's when the cleaning crew gets to work. And, feeding your brain good stuff like foods with omega-3s helps keep the physical structure healthy. Then for the software, we can use these incredible techniques, like the memory palace. It sounds complicated, but it's not. You just mentally place things you need to remember in different spots in a familiar location, like your house. It turns boring data into a walkthrough story, making it way easier to recall.
Okay, so once our brain's hardware is humming along nicely, we can start digging into the really complex software, starting with our emotions.
You totally know this feeling. We all do. You get angry or stressed or scared, and boom, all rational thought just flies right out the window. Well, it turns out there's a very real, very biological reason for that happening.
So let me introduce you to the CEO of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, or PFC for short. It's the part right behind your forehead that's in charge of all the big picture stuff, making smart decisions, planning ahead, and crucially, keeping your emotions from running the whole show.
But here's the catch. When a really strong emotion gets triggered, think rage or panic, the more primitive emotional parts of your brain can actually stage a coup. They flood the system and temporarily knock your PFC offline. This is the amygdala hijack. It's like your CEO just got locked out of the control room.
So, how do you get the CEO back in charge? Well, neuroscientists have this ridiculously simple technique, and it all comes down to this one little phrase: name it to tame it. Okay, check this out. The second you pause and consciously put a label on what you're feeling, like you actually say to yourself, okay, I am feeling really frustrated right now, something amazing happens. This simple act of searching for that word forces your prefrontal cortex, your logical CEO, to switch back on. It pulls energy away from the emotional, panicked part of your brain and puts you back in the driver's seat. It's like a mental magic trick.
All right, so now that we know how to manage those big, conscious feelings, let's talk about all the things we do without even thinking. Let's talk about our habits.
Say hello to the basal ganglia. This is basically your brain's efficiency expert. Its entire job is to save you mental energy. It watches for any routine you do over and over again, like driving to work or tying your shoes, and it turns that routine into an automatic script, a habit, so your conscious mind can be free to worry about other things.
And get this, every single habit you have, whether it's good or bad, runs on this exact same simple three-step loop. First, there's a cue, the trigger, like your phone buzzing. Then there's the response, the automatic action. You pick it up and start scrolling. And finally, the reward, that little hit of satisfaction that tells your brain, hey, that was good, let's do it again next time. If you can understand this loop, you can change any habit you want.
Okay, so from the brain's autopilot mode, let's completely switch gears and talk about its most innovative, sparky function, creativity.
First off, we've got to just toss out an old idea that is completely wrong. This whole myth of being left-brained and logical or right-brained and creative, it's just not true. Real creativity doesn't live in one side of your head.
It lives in the connections that crisscross your entire brain. The truth is, creativity isn't some magical gift that only a few people have. It's a physical, biological process. A creative idea is literally your brain forging a brand new physical connection between two or more ideas it already has stored. That's all it is. It's about connecting the dots.
And that is so empowering because it gives us a recipe for being more creative. You want to make more unique connections? Well, you need more dots to connect. It's that simple. Gather more information, be relentlessly curious, and give your brain some quiet, focused time to let those new pathways actually form without a million notifications blowing up your phone.
And this idea of forming new pathways leads us to what is without a doubt the single most powerful lesson in all of neuroscience. Your brain is not set in stone. You know, for the longest time, we thought of the brain as this piece of hardware you're born with, and that's just what you got. We now know that is completely, fundamentally wrong.
A way better way to think about your brain is like a dynamic living Wi-Fi network. The connections, the pathways, how strong the signal is, all of it is constantly changing and adapting. And the best part? You are the network administrator. You can make the upgrades.
There's a scientific name for this, and it's called neuroplasticity. It's this incredible built-in ability for your brain to reorganize its own structure based on what you do, what you think, and what you focus on. The mental roads you travel down the most get paved and widened, while the ones you ignore slowly fade away.
And we can actually direct this process on purpose. One of the most powerful tools is called cognitive reframing. So, when you have a setback, instead of your default thought being, I'm a failure, you can consciously reframe it to, wow, I learned a lot. Every time you do that, you are physically weakening the old failure pathway in your brain and building and strengthening a brand new learning pathway. You are literally upgrading your own network one thought at a time. So I want to leave you with this question. Knowing this, knowing that your brain isn't fixed and that you hold the power to physically change its wiring through your own focus and your own actions, what's the first upgrade you're going to make?
Every book leaves you with one idea that sticks. If this one made you think, tell me which book you want me to break down next.